Armed and ready.
Alright guys, I know it's been a while since I made a video, and I was just been taking my own time and hanging out with my fiance and just taking it easy and not worrying about YouTube, and uh, I wasn't gonna quit. It's just I just wanted to take a break, and when I wanted to come back to start making videos, I think this is what made me want to make another vlog, especially was the recent Battle or Heroes of the Dorm finals on ESPN 2 that was shown this past weekend. If you don't know, Heroes of the Dorm is a college-only tournament that was held nationwide from Blizzard for their game Heroes of the Storm, and each team in Heroes of the Storm consists of 5 players. So 5 players each. All the players are college students, and it's from colleges all over, North America. And the 2 in the finals were Arizona State and Berkeley. And I'll get to that later. But my first problem with this, well, not really a problem. It's not a problem. Esports on TV is a good thing. It brings in new viewers, people that might not know this world even exists, that esports exists. They now get to see that, and they get to have their own take on it and see what they think. And from what I've seen so far on Twitter and the responses, it's generally the same thing. It's always been the same response to these types of things. It's to be expected. There's the good people that find it very interesting that video games have evolved to the point where there is a level of competition this fierce. And then there's other people that they just are mad and upset that it's ESPN and it's not a traditional sport. Granted, most of the bad responses I did see were from older sports writers and just older people in general that really have no clue about any of this stuff. They have no clue what goes into it and just jump to conclusions and probably just hate video games in general. So getting them to jump on board for this stuff is probably never going to happen, and that's okay. We don't need them. But talking shit and being just overall degrading about the entire community just because you don't understand what's going on, that shows so much about your character that I don't know why any of you have a job, to be honest, with any of these organizations that you write for. I don't know how you can be so unprofessional and talk this way about college students and still get away with it. It makes no sense to me. The other bad responses that I've seen were from traditional sports athletes that they probably just don't see it. I would like to say that at least for traditional sports athletes, if they were to be shown the numerous similarities between the two, yes, everyone's going to jump to the whole thing of, well, the football player or the basketball player, they're totally different because the nerd that plays video games on esports doesn't work out or go to the gym or have to do any physical activity. No, but the amount of training and mechanical skill it takes to play those games at that level, and the amount of teamwork and coordination and just overall team play and just thought process into planning how you're going to play that match is identical to what it takes to compete at that level in college traditional sports. But it's only to the people that are open to it, that are willing to let themselves learn about this whole new world that's happening in esports. If they're not into it, if they don't even want to know, if they're just going to be completely closed-minded, there's no change in that. It's no reason to argue with them. That's just how they are, and that's fine. They don't want to know, and they don't need to. Moving on to esports on TV as a whole, I didn't like the fact that it was only on ESPN. ESPN 2 to be specific. I didn't like the fact that it was only on that because I didn't understand why they couldn't stream it, like live stream it to Twitch or YouTube, and have ESPN 2. Most people that watched ESPN probably don't even know that fucking Twitch exists. And most people that watch Twitch or YouTube live streams of events for for esports most likely don't watch ESPN. And if they do, then they are traditional sports fans as well. And that's cool, but I don't see why you wouldn't just have two, like both of them. It's more viewers. You get viewers worldwide. There were people that wanted to watch Heroes of the Dorm but couldn't because they were somewhere else in the world where they couldn't get ESPN, and that's not fair. That's not fair at all. It closes off your community. It doesn't allow your game to grow as much as it could, and that's not what esports is about. It's hindering what we've been trying to grow and accomplish in esports. They have already, I think today actually, they're having a rebroadcast of the whole event on Twitch, but why now? Why didn't you just have this live streaming on Twitch to begin with? I'm assuming, if I had to guess, it was probably something in the contract that if they were gonna broadcast it on ESPN, that they couldn't broadcast it anywhere else at all. Only ESPN was allowed. I'm assuming that is what happened, and that's once again just the restrictions of television at work. And I don't know, if you are okay with that, then I guess that is fine, but I'm not. It's just restrictions that just hinder the growth. Now, moving on past it being on TV, in the overall scheme of things, it was awesome that a college esports event of that caliber was shown on ESPN. It was great. It's been a while since esports has been on TV at that level, so awesome. It was overall a step forward, but it could have been an even bigger step forward if they would have just been able to broadcast on multiple mediums. Now, moving forward into things about this that I wanted to rant about, specifically a ESPN critic, sports critic and writer and radio host. I don't understand. This is one of those people where I don't understand how he has a job. I guess ESPN wants him around because he's a douche. But Colin Cowherd, I think Colin Cowherd. From what I've understood, I've talked to other people, and in general, his nickname in the community in that sense is Colin Cowturd, which I found hilarious. But it fits because he's not a nice man. He is a radio host that talks about things and belittles people on his show, and we'll just start from the beginning. He started off his show. I'll even put a link in the info of this video, or the description of this video, so you can actually go see his podcast rant that he had about this. But he's basically upset that it's not a traditional sport being played on ESPN. He's upset. All he can see is it's a video game being played on what should be a sports network. Now, the problem with this is one of the things he talked about on Twitter, and I don't know if it's in the video specifically, but he did mention how he was upset that for these 2 hours on ESPN, they were showing this while the NBA playoffs were being shown on TNT. Okay, well, ESPN can't help that. Go watch fucking TNT then if you want to see the NBA playoffs. TNT had the rights to show the NBA playoffs. That's just how TV rights work. It's the same thing that I just talked about, how they couldn't live stream it anywhere because ESPN had the rights to show Heroes of the Dorm. It's the same thing. So that's just one thing that he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Now, the whole thing is, in this rant that I watched him go on, it was more of an insulting smack talk than putting out points of why he thinks it's bad for ESPN to show esports. He was making like age-old jokes of just, these are just kids who live in their mom's basement and the doors need to be locked and don't let them out, so they ruin ESPN and his television. And he sounded more like a jock from Revenge of the Nerds than anything else. Like, he needs to get the fuck out of the 80s and just move on with his life. I don't know why he was so upset. I mean, shit. ESPN shows things like chess and poker, but that's okay, apparently. I think the worst thing that he used as a comparison is he used having to watch this on eSports on ESPN was like having to put a gun in his own mouth. A lot of people did not like this, and neither do I. Like, it's one thing that you're being a jock, a typical jock, on the radio and just making fun of people that play video games when they're nerds and geeks and all that stuff. Like, okay, it's nothing that we haven't heard before. But the fact that you tried to make a joke and comparison to suicide because of this is just completely out of context and not necessary. He warned that if he ever had to cover esports for ESPN, he would quit on the spot. Now, the funny thing about that was a lot of people want ESPN to make him cover esports just to see if he actually lives up to his own threat of quitting, because honestly, Colin, no one would ever ask you to cover esports. You don't even know what the fuck you were talking about in your rant. It's a Heroes of the Storm game, and you called it a League of Legends tournament. That right there shows that you are just an old, ignorant man who doesn't know anything about what you're ranting about. How can you try to cover something and bitch about it if you don't even know the facts? You don't even know anything. What's ultimately the worst part about this is, like I said before, everyone that was playing in this final is a college student. And one of the biggest things that they were getting as a reward for playing in this and winning this is college tuition. They were playing for scholarship. They were bettering their college career by doing this. And you see this as bad. And on top of that, it's like you totally didn't even realize that two well-known colleges, Berkeley and Arizona State, were playing in this. It's not like it was some random, like, tech school or schools that nobody know about. These are big schools. These are schools that a lot of people go to, and they were playing for tuition for these. How is that a bad thing? I don't understand. Now, to bring a little numbers into this whole esports thing and people saying that it's not that big or not realizing how big it really is, when it comes to esports viewership, the numbers don't lie. It is a huge industry, and it's only getting bigger. And there are more and more sponsors getting involved in it. Just so you know, just so we can take a look here and know what's going on, the 2014 World Series, from what I've gathered from most of the stats that I've pulled up on the web, it was around 15.8 million viewers. That only got that high because it went to Game 7. Most of the time, the World Series doesn't even get that many viewers. But it got that heated into Game 7 that viewers actually peaked. The NBA Finals Series averaged 15.5 million viewers. And 26.5 million watched the World Cup Final in the United States. And we'll even throw in there, I even found, where is it? For the 2014 Daytona 500, that averaged a little over 9 million viewers. Okay. The 2014 World Championship for League of Legends averaged 27 million unique viewers. That is a video game beating out the World Series, the NBA Finals, the World Cup, and the Daytona 500. 4 of America's biggest traditional sports were beat out in viewership. The only reason that, and I would like to point this out, the only reason that 27 million isn't higher is because last year the World Championships were held in Seoul, Korea, meaning that things started at 3 in the morning when it came to local time here. So Westerners had to stay up late or wake up really early to see a lot of the stuff. 2013 World Championships had over 30-some million unique viewers, but it was held at the Staples Centers. Yes, the Staples Center in Los Angeles held the 2013 World Championships of League of Legends. The only thing that esports hasn't beaten out yet is the Super Bowl, which, if it ever gets close to even competing with the Super Bowl in viewership, then everyone that talks about esports not being a thing can just remove their foot from their mouth. But that is one of the big things that it hasn't come close to beating. It was something like 100 million or something like that like viewers for the Super Bowl that I read is something crazy. Like, it's just a giant number. But when it comes to these numbers, it doesn't lie. And the fact that the viewership is already beating out other big traditional sports should tell you how big this has really become. All right, this rant went on a lot longer than I wanted to. I just wanted to bring this up to people. I'd like to know what other people think. I mean, I know I do know that a lot of people that see these posts that I make, they might not be video game players or might not know anything about esports, but I do know that a lot of you that I'm friends with on, Facebook or Twitter, you guys have played traditional sports before, and I'd like to get your take on what you think about esports being on traditional sports network television, channels. But that's it for now. Hopefully I'll be able to put out some more vlogs, and if you'd like to see any of my other stuff, you can check out the videos below. And until next time, I hope you guys take it easy, and thanks for watching. See you, Nubs.